Hey guys, another Maggot King video here. On this one, I'm going to go over some data I collected to compare the 5-tick punish dragging method versus the 4-tick punish method. And then also go over a little bit some experience I had with the Dharoks method versus not using Dharoks. And I'll share a couple other tips along the way that I've picked up. Let's talk about Dharoks first. I did another 6-hour using Dharoks, and I got 187 up from my previous of 181. 2KC that is just gaming the 5-minute system on Temple for the leaderboards. So really it was 185. And so looking at the kills per hour on that, it was almost 31 kills per hour. And what happened during that run is I died about 5 to 6 times and had to run back. And I took one break during the 6 hour. So still 31 is better than the 30 kills per hour I was getting previously. You can see here's a row of a 1 hour sample. So if you do it absolutely perfectly, you get a little over 32. So I'd say like if you're absolutely perfect, go for Darox. But I think ultimately this is not worth it because if you end up dying like once per hour, you're going to be getting lower kills per hour. And so this 31 kills per hour, even with deaths, I think that if this is the boat you're in, you might as well just use Elder Maul and Inquisitor Mace. And I think that you can get about this anyways, even without Darox. And this gets into the discussion about the 5-tick punish dragging method versus 4-tick punish that I was talking about briefly in the previous video. Here's a visual aid for what we're comparing. This is the 5-tick method where we do an Elder Maul hit and then a scythe, dragging the boss 1 tick each time for each punish, slowing it down. And we're comparing that to the 4-tick method where you step to the side for your punish and go right back in for a 4-tick hit, making the boss's punishes come out as fast as possible. So the question is, which way of doing the melee phase is better? Do you want to drag it and 5-tick your scythe, or do you want to hold it still to get the punishes out as fast as possible? To answer this question, I counted up the number of punish hits on the first melee phase for every kill in my 6-hour video using the 5-tick dragging method, and for every kill in a different video using the 4-tick punish method. And so we could see the histogram here for whether it was 4 or 5 or how many punish attacks happened in that phase. The shape here looks quite different, and in the 5-tick dragging method, we actually never saw a data point for 8 punishes in one cycle. And here you can see that 6 is a lot more common than it is on this graph. Looking at the averages for each method, the 5-tick dragging method got an average of a little over 4.8 punishes per melee phase, and the 4-tick one got a little over 5.3 punishes per melee phase. And another thing to notice is that in my 4-tick data, my sample size is a bit smaller, only 59. I was talking about this with some folks in Ironscape, and this other guy named Sinks, he got some additional data here, which was a sample size of 92, and his average was pretty close to mine for the 4-tick punish method. He got 5.26, mine was around 5.3. So where I went with this is I want to compare each method. So I wrote down the average number of punishes. And so now if we think about it, for the 5-tick dragging method, we're getting 1 punish and 1 scythe hit every 5 ticks. And for the 4-tick method, we're getting 1 punish and a 4-tick hit every 4 ticks. So I wrote down the regular hit per punish. So this is going to be a scythe swing. And we can pull it up in Gearscape here. So Scythe-on Crush, we do not have Summer Sweep Up enabled. I'll uncheck punish. And so, yeah, this is there's where that 25.14 is coming from. And for the Inquisitor Mace here, just to be generous, I just assumed no Avernic for ease. And so here we see 19.4. So that's where that regular hit's coming. And then the punish damage. This for both methods, I'm assuming here that you do Elder Maul. And so for Elder Maul, same deal. If I enable the punish checkbox down here, and so you can see on Gearscape, this is what we believe it does. It's a plus 50% max hit and accuracy. The max hit's pretty clear. That one you can see, you can just observe that in game. The accuracy, I think, is like the community's best guess. I'm not sure if we know it's exactly 50%, but that seems about right. So that's how they implemented it. But yeah, so for the Elder Maul, if I enable that punish checkbox, we see here the 44.03. So that's where that's coming from. And so now for the total damage, what I did here is so you get a regular hit and a punish. And so this is total damage, like on average per melee phase. So I multiplied that by the average number of punishes that you get for that given method, because keep in mind it's different for each method. And so then for this one, I sum those two up and multiplied that by its own average punishes. And now what's also interesting is that the phase length is going to be different too, because you only get this many punishes, but you're making the punishes come out every 5 ticks. So for this, I multiplied the average punishes by 5 for 5 ticks, and for this one times 4 for 4 ticks. So there's the phase length. It's going to be different. And then here is a damage per tick metric, where we've got that total damage divided by the length of ticks. And so what we see here is that for the 4 tick punish method, it's more damage, and it's higher it's a higher DPS essentially. You're getting all the punishes to come out faster. So based on this data, I don't think that you should do the 5 tick dragging method at all, because you're getting less damage and making it take longer. So based on this data, I decided I want to make the 4 tick punish method my main method. But there was one problem I was experiencing with that, where when I would set up the method, and here's an older video, when I would set it up, I would shoot the grub, sit here, and then start the method when the punishes start. But you'll notice here that I was standing in the middle, went to the side, and it decided to throw a random acid splat on the tile I want to go to. And, it happens to be one of the yellow ones, so that's extra bad. So I went down to 16 attack there, so that's a DPS loss. I think if you step on the yellow or green, that can also make you lose attacking tick, so you might end up missing a full mace on one cycle. And so this was kind of an issue for me. So my friend Rod told me that there is a timing you can do with stepping on that tile right before the first punish starts, to prevent it from putting poison on that tile. And that makes sense, because while you're in the middle of the punish cycle, each time you go in and out, it never wants to put poison on that tile. So you can essentially do, if you have the timing down, you can essentially do that same thing before the first punish to make it so you never have to step on the acid. So here's a clip from my Dharoks 6-hour log where I am utilizing this method, and I can kind of describe what I'm looking at here to make it play out nicely. So I switch into Dharoks and go for a hit. One thing you want to look for is, this is nice for just regular farming. My previous video, I was basically just like running up and attacking and face tanking like to 20 if I happen to go into a shadow. But here I choose a non-shadow tile to avoid taking a 20, because that could potentially kill me here. I go for the attack, bow the grub, and at this point, if one comes on me, I'm just like tanking it here. It's like 5 or less damage. It's pretty low. And so what I'm looking for here is essentially that set of shadows to disappear. So I put on my mace. Let's rewind a sec. So after I shoot, I put on the mace, and you click the moment, like on the tick that it disappears, go for an attack, and then step to the side, and you're in the cycle. So I'll rewind and let that play at full speed again here. So just like that, and and so that prevents the acid from going on that tile at the start. So you'll never have to deal with that. Here's a useful trick for Dharoks as well to conserve some HP. So when you phase into melee here, and you start that method to prevent the acid, you go up for your hit, but then here on Enrage phase, when it spawns multiple grubs, what I do is I quickly bow 2 of the grubs on the same side. And then I do that step for the acid prevention. And then I move towards that side that I killed the grubs. So the other grubs, if one of them happens to choose the first row, they're far away, and it'll take a long time for them to come, like, cause any trouble for me, and the boss will likely be dead by then. And then for these two on this side, if one of them would have chosen the first row, I would have gotten into trouble right away. But because I killed both of them and chose that side, I'm going to be good for a while. So I'll rewind and play it one more time. So you switch, attack once, bow the 2 grubs, mace, step to the side, attack, and you're in the cycle. Just like that. A different tip from a commentary on my previous video is that you want to hold your ZCB spec until the boss screeches, because it actually has lower defense while it's screeching. It's 100 defense instead of 200. So you get more expected damage out of it doing it that way, because you're more likely to hit. we can switch over to the DPS calc to see how much this really matters. So a one-way ZCB in the mage gear, unpotted, is a 78 expected spec on the mage range phase. But if we flip that over to a custom monster view with 100 defense instead of 200, that jumps up to a 93. So the strategy is giving us 15 extra damage approximately on our spec just by using it at a better time. I went in game to confirm that this was really happening, and so I waited for the Screech, did a monster examine, and there you can see 100 defense. And after it was done, I went for another one just to see. It goes back up to 200 when it's like not in Screech phase. So that's the difference we're talking about. 100 during the Screech, 200 normally. My last spreadsheet here goes over which weapon combination you might want to use, depending on how much effort you're looking to put in. So this table assumes that you're already going with a 4-tick punish method because of the previous part in this video. We saw that the 4-tick punish method is overall better than doing 5-tick dragging. And so we see on the top, 15 HP Dharoks with the Veronic and Inquisitor Mace is best. And we can see here that's 75 damage per cycle. So assuming you're not going to do that one because that's too risky, below that, the best is going to be Inquisitor Mace with the Maul. And so that's a good option to go with, although if you don't want to put in the effort of equipping the Veronic, you're not losing that much. We see here it's about like 2 less damage per 4-tick punish cycle. And remember, that happens, in the ballpark of like 5 times per melee phase. So 2 damage per cycle, 5 times per melee phase, you're losing like 10 damage per melee phase by not doing the Avernic. So if you don't think that's worth it for you, then just cut the Avernic. Don't put in as much effort. And then below this, we see a couple other options. If you want to put in even less effort, you can just camp one weapon. So whether that's mace, scythe, or maul. Now these we're losing a bit more. We're going kind of below 60 here. So, that might get to a point where you might want to put in more effort to not lose all that damage. But yeah, so you can decide for yourself. And this thing here, I'm saying the 6-tick method, there's this cool method that I saw. So if you really want a scythe camp for some reason, this isn't good, but just out of curiosity, if you're interested, you can do the strange method. There's a Port Khazard clip around release, I believe, and somebody put it on Reddit recently too. You can do the strange thing where, check this out, you click in and click to attack in the same tick, and it does the punish. And you drag in for the punish, and you can click again for your regular attack. So if we look at the ticks on this, I'll rewind here, you can see, so we get the punish, and then 2 ticks after scythe. This is the miss cycle. You don't scythe on that cycle, and then 1 tick after. And so that repeats. So you'll get a 1 tick after scythe, a 2 tick after punish scythe, and then you'll miss a cycle. So that's effectively 2 regular scythes per 3 punish cycles, which is 12 ticks. So 2 regular scythes per 12 ticks. That's why I'm calling this a 6-tick scythe. So it's better than 8-ticking your scythe, but I don't think you should do this anyways. But I think it's kind of interesting. Like maybe when the Raids 4 Mega Rare comes out, this might be something you want to do. But yeah, that's really all I want to share with this table. So you can pick what method works for you.